Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here, reminding you to eat properly, get a good amount of sleep every night, and don't forget to bang your head.
Yeah, Hollywood, you know I love you more than one man should. Yeah, Hollywood, well kiss me good. Yeah, Hollywood, you know I love you more than one.
While the movie season has actually kicked up a notch since Iron Man 3's release, I had mentioned this many times in the beginning of the third season that music was going to be looking pretty grim and slow. Not necessarily true. I mean, there's definitely been a lot of stuff going on, especially in the world of pop music, which is really nothing I need to review because it's all over the place. But there's been everything from classic band revivals, like the release of a new Deep Purple album, and the 13th album of Black Sabbath, which actually brings Ozzy Osbourne back to the band. And you also had the whole post-grunge and grunge alternative revival. There's new albums coming out from bands like Queens of the Stone Age, and a new album coming out from Alice in Chains. But as great as all this stuff is happening, it's really not my cup of tea, because I am a firm believer of letting sleeping dogs lie. However, when I found out that there was a certain album that did get released, and it's not a new album, it's actually a live record, and I'm not really a big fan of live records. I have a very, very small amount of live music in my CD collection. I think it's about 4, now 5, believe it or not. And it's just because of the fact that when this band has a new album, be it a new release or a live release, it just means that there's something really awesome about this one specific live album. And I have mentioned this band before. It's Iced Earth. They're a major underground sensation in the States, huge overseas, especially in Europe. And that's the band that we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about their newest live album, but of course, their original live album, and we'll start with that one. This one is called Alive in Athens. It came out in 1999, and this was when Iced Earth had just really hit it big in the States, and they had just finished their Something Wicked This Way Comes album, and this is one of the most amazing live albums I've ever heard. The lead singer, Matt Barlow, is just an unbelievable vocalist, and he's been with the band since their third album all the way until their album Horror Show, and then he chose to leave. He came back for a little while, but then he just left completely. But this album was basically a culmination of everything from their first release in 1991 up until 1999. And it's just so great to hear how incredible the fans are and how they chant, how they cheer, how they sing along with this band, and how passionate they are really about this music. Every single song is just, the quality is fantastic, and the songs are so incredible. Everything from stories to actual personal events in the band's lives. Alive in Athens, if you've never heard an Iced Earth album in your life and are into heavy metal and want to get into this band, I rarely would suggest a live album, but that's definitely one to start with, and that's when we're going to go to the newest. Once again, I love it when albums take me by surprise. This is called Iced Earth Alive in Ancient Kourion, and this is their recent 2012 live concert in Cyprus. It's a 2013 release, but the concert was in 2012. And I was really excited when I heard this album was coming out because Alive in Athens, as great as it is, since Alive in Athens came out in 1999, there have been 6 more Iced Earth album releases. And they had gone through many different vocal changes. They went from Ripper Owens into Glorious Burden. They had the 2-part Something Wicked Phenomenon, in which Matt Barlow made his return in the second part, but now they've got Stu Block, and I reviewed the album Dystopia. There will be a link to that video in the box below, but this is Stu Block basically taking some of the best songs from the very beginning of Iced Earth all the way until now. And what's so different about this live album is this is really not the fans getting into it, but the band really getting into it. Some of the things that Stu Block does when he's singing the songs, or as he's talking to the fans in between songs, like, this is a really more of a band perspective than a fan perspective, like Alive in Athens. Just, Stu Block just turns this concert into something truly special to him and to the rest of the band of Iced Earth, especially the brainchild himself, John Schaefer. And it's just so awesome to get another great live album. Some of the songs in this album are from Alive in Athens, but it's great to hear a brand new take on it because there's a new vocalist, and I would have liked to hear some more from A Glorious Burden and a little more from Something Wicked Part 2, The Crucible of Man, but it is what it is. It's a great live album, and both of these Iced Earth albums are just so awesome. And again, I highly recommend you listen to this band because they're just not like any other metal band out there. They're just brilliant writers, brilliant musicians, and they just do what they love to do, which is just write music for themselves and their fans. So that's it, guys, and the question that I want to leave with you today is, tell me about some of the new albums that have come out if you've been listening to them all across the spectrum. I've heard great things about the new Justin Timberlake album, and now there's this big single from Chris Brown called Fine China, which is pretty cool, and of course you got the new Daft Punk album which just got released and is creating a massive buzz across the music world. But tell me what albums have come out recently of artists of past and present that you feel are the big ones right now. Like, I'm just finding nothing. Let me know what you found. I am the Lawn Gnome, and remember that actions speak louder than words.